Have you ever gone through a season so difficult that you found yourself wondering where God was and why certain things were happening? Job knew exactly what that felt like. After losing his possessions, his health, and the people he loved, he searched for answers to his suffering. For many chapters, we hear the words of Job and his friends. But in Job 38, something extraordinary happens. God himself responds. Interestingly, the Lord does not provide a detailed explanation for Job's suffering. Instead, he reveals his majesty through a series of questions that demonstrate how far his power and wisdom surpass human understanding. Through these questions, God reminds Job that there are realities beyond what human beings can fully comprehend. This chapter teaches us to trust God even when we do not understand everything happening around us. As you explore these 14 lessons from Job 38, you will discover powerful truths that can strengthen your faith, deepen your trust in God, and bring peace to your heart in the midst of life's uncertainties. Lesson 1. God is in control. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, "Who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me." Job 38, 1-3. After many chapters of suffering, questions, and debates, the moment finally arrives when God himself speaks. This teaches us that there is a great difference between human opinions and divine wisdom. Job and his friends spent a long time trying to explain things they did not fully understand. When God appears, he reveals that the true answer is not found in human theories, but in the presence of the Lord. We often do the same. We search for answers everywhere, listen to many voices, and carry countless worries, yet forget to seek God's direction. This passage reminds us of the importance of quieting our doubts so that we can hear the voice of our Creator. True wisdom begins when we recognize that God knows far more than we do and that His ways are perfect, even when we cannot fully understand them. Lesson 2. God is the Creator of all things. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare, if thou hast understanding. Who hath laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest? Or who hath stretched the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened, or who laid the cornerstone thereof? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Job 38, 4-7. God reminds Job that he is the creator of all things. Before the seas, mountains, stars, or humanity existed, the Lord was already laying the foundations of creation. This question leads Job to recognize his limitations in comparison to God's greatness. Many times we want to fully understand God's plans, but we forget that our perspective is limited while His is infinite. The Creator knows the beginning and the end of all things. When we face difficult situations, we can trust that God is still governing the universe with perfect wisdom. If He was able to create the heavens and the earth, He is certainly able to guide our lives. This lesson teaches us to abandon self-reliance and rest in God's sovereignty, recognizing that His plans are greater, better, and more perfect than any plans we could ever create on our own. Lesson 3. God sets limits on chaos. Or who shut up the sea with doors when it brake forth as if it had issued out of the womb? When I made the cloud the garment thereof, and thick darkness a swaddling band for it, and brake up for it my decreed place, and set bars and doors, and said, Hitherto shalt thou come, but no further, and here shall thy proud waves be stayed. Job 38, 8-11. The sea is one of the most impressive forces in nature. Its waves seem untamable, and its vastness displays tremendous power. Yet God declares that He is the one who established its boundaries. No wave can go beyond what the Creator has determined. This truth has a powerful application to our spiritual lives. There are times when our problems seem too great to bear. Difficulties can rise like massive waves, bringing fear and uncertainty. However, Job 38 reminds us that God remains in control. No crisis, illness, loss, or challenge is outside His authority. The Lord knows exactly how far every situation can go. Even when we do not understand the purpose of our struggles, we can trust that God is governing everything with perfect wisdom. The same God who controls the oceans also controls the circumstances of our lives and never loses control of anything. Lesson 4. God governs every new day. Hast thou commanded the morning since thy days, and caused the dayspring to know his place, that it might take hold of the ends of the earth, that the wicked might be shaken out of it? It is turned as clay to the seal, and they stand as a garment, and from the wicked their light is withholden, and the high arm shall be broken. Job 38, 12-15. Every day the sun rises at the exact moment appointed by God. Morning arrives, darkness retreats, and a new day begins because the Lord has commanded it. This reality may seem ordinary, but it reveals God's care and faithfulness. While we sleep, God continues to sustain the universe. While we face worries and uncertainties, He continues to work. Every sunrise is a quiet demonstration of the Lord's consistency. Just as we can trust that the sun will rise tomorrow, we can also trust that God will continue fulfilling His purposes in our lives. Many times we cannot see what He is doing, but His hand is still at work. This passage teaches us to renew our hope each day. The God who governs the cycle of days also directs our future. His faithfulness never fails, His power never diminishes, and His presence remains our security in every circumstance. Lesson 5. God knows the deepest places. Hast thou entered into the springs of the sea, or hast thou walked in the search of the depth? Have the gates of death been opened unto thee? Or hast thou seen the doors of the shadow of death? Hast thou perceived the breadth of the earth? Declare if thou knowest it all. Job 38, 16-18. God continues to reveal to Job the limitations of human knowledge. He asks about the depths of the sea, the mysteries of death, and the vastness of the earth, subjects that were far beyond human understanding at that time. The message is clear: there are realities that only God fully knows. We often want to understand every detail of what is happening in our lives, but we will not always have access to every answer. The Lord sees what our eyes cannot see and understands what our minds cannot comprehend. When we face difficult moments, we may be tempted to think that God is distant or has lost control of the situation. Yet this passage reminds us that He still sees the complete picture. What is a mystery to us is fully known to God. Therefore, we can rest in the assurance that His wisdom never fails and His knowledge is perfect. Lesson 6. God rules over light and darkness. Where is the way where light dwelleth? And as for darkness, where is the place thereof, that thou shouldest take it to the bound thereof, and that thou shouldest know the paths to the house thereof? Knowest thou it because thou wast then born, or because the number of thy days is great? Job 38:19-21. In this passage, God asks Job about the origin of light and darkness. These questions demonstrate that the Lord governs aspects of creation that are completely beyond human ability and understanding. Light symbolizes direction, life, and hope, while darkness often represents what we cannot understand. God shows that both are under His authority. This truth brings great comfort to our spiritual lives. There are bright seasons filled with joy and clarity, but there are also difficult periods when everything seems dark and confusing. Even in those moments, God remains present. Darkness does not diminish His power or prevent Him from working. The Lord perfectly knows the path we should follow, even when we cannot see it ourselves. True faith does not depend on the absence of difficulties, but on the certainty that God continues to guide our steps through both the brightest days and the darkest nights. Lesson 7. God controls the snow and the hail. Hast thou entered into the treasures of the snow? Or hast thou seen the treasures of the hail, which I have reserved against the time of trouble, against the day of battle and war? By what way is the light parted, which scattereth the east wind upon the earth? Job 38:22-24. God mentions the snow, the hail, the light, and the winds to demonstrate that all the forces of nature remain under His control. What may appear to happen randomly is governed by order and purpose in the hands of the Creator. To human beings, many events seem unpredictable, but God is never surprised by anything. This truth strengthens our confidence during times of uncertainty. When we face unexpected changes, sudden challenges, or difficult situations, we can remember that God is still governing all things. Nothing escapes His knowledge or His authority. The Lord not only created the universe, but continues to sustain and direct every detail of creation. Just as He controls the natural world, He also guides the events of our lives. Even when we do not understand the paths we are walking through, we can trust that God is still working according to His perfect purposes. Lesson 8. God sends provision to the earth. Who hath divided a watercourse for the overflowing of waters, or a way for the lightning of thunder, to cause it to rain on the earth where no man is, on the wilderness wherein there is no man, to satisfy the desolate and waste ground, and to cause the bud of the tender herb to spring forth. Job 38:25-27. These verses reveal something wonderful about God's character. The Lord speaks about sending rain to places where no people live. This shows that His care is not limited to what human beings consider important. God watches over all His creation with love and attention. Many times we may feel forgotten or think that our needs are too small to matter to the Lord. Yet Job 38 teaches exactly the opposite. If God cares for distant deserts and places that no one sees, how much more will He care for those who love Him and trust in Him? His eyes are upon every detail of our lives. The Lord knows our needs even before we express them. His care is constant, His provision is sufficient, and His love never fails. We can rest, knowing that God is still at work, even when we do not immediately see His hand moving on our behalf. Lesson 9. God is the source of all life. Hath the rain a father? Or who hath begotten the drops of dew? Out of whose womb came the ice, and the hoary frost of heaven? Who hath gendered it? The waters are hid as with a stone, and the face of the deep is frozen. Job 38:28-30. God uses simple elements of nature to show that all life depends on him. Rain, dew, ice, and frost do not appear on their own. Everything exists because God sustains creation by his power. This truth also applies to our lives. We often focus only on visible resources and forget that every provision ultimately comes from the Lord. Our health, strength, opportunities, and daily sustenance all have their source in God. When we recognize this, we learn to live with gratitude and humility. Self-sufficiency can draw us away from the Lord, but gratitude draws us closer to him. Every daily blessing is a demonstration of his love and care. Just as the earth depends on rain to produce fruit, we depend on God's presence to flourish spiritually. True life is not found in material possessions, but in a deep relationship with the Creator of all things. Lesson 10. God sustains the stars. Canst thou bind the sweet influences of Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth in his season? Or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons? Knowest thou the ordinances of heaven? Canst thou set the dominion thereof in the earth? Job 38:31-33. By mentioning the Pleiades, Orion, and other constellations, God demonstrates his absolute authority over the universe. The stars follow their appointed courses with precision because the Creator continually sustains them. No human being has the power to control the stars or alter the laws that govern the heavens. This reality reveals the greatness of the Lord and the limitations of humanity. We often worry about situations that seem beyond our control, yet we forget that we serve the God who governs the entire universe. The same Lord who keeps billions of stars in perfect order also cares about the details of our lives. Nothing is too great for his power, and nothing is too small for his attention. When we remember this, our faith is strengthened. We can trust that God continues to guide our story with the same wisdom and precision with which he governs the heavens. His control is perfect, his authority is absolute, and his faithfulness endures forever. Lesson 11. God controls the heavens. Canst thou lift up thy voice to the clouds, that abundance of waters may cover thee? Canst thou send lightnings, that they may go and say unto thee, Here we are? Job 38:34-35. God asks Job whether he is able to command the clouds or send forth lightning. The answer is obvious. Only God possesses such authority. These questions reveal that human power is extremely limited when compared to the power of the Creator. Although humanity has achieved many advances throughout history, we still remain dependent upon the laws that God established within creation. This lesson calls us to humility. We often try to control everything around us, yet there are situations that lie completely beyond our reach. In those moments, we need to remember that God is still in control. What is beyond our strength is never beyond his power. The Lord governs the heavens, the winds, the storms, and the events of our lives as well. When we surrender our worries to him, we find peace because we know we are in the hands of the one who possesses all authority over the universe. Lesson 12. True wisdom comes from God. Who hath put wisdom in the inward parts, or who hath given understanding to the heart? Who can number the clouds in wisdom, or who can stay the bottles of heaven, when the dust groweth into hardness, and the clods cleave fast together? Job 38:36-38. God teaches that all true wisdom originates from him. Human knowledge is valuable, but it has limits. The ability to reason, learn, and understand has been granted by the Creator himself. Many people place excessive confidence in their intelligence, experience, or abilities, forgetting that all these gifts come from God. This passage reminds us that the most important wisdom is not merely the accumulation of information, but the recognition of our dependence upon the Lord. When we seek divine guidance, we make wiser decisions and gain a more balanced perspective on life. True wisdom produces humility because it helps us realize how much we still need to learn. God remains the source of all understanding. The closer we draw to Him, the more we grow in spiritual discernment. The wisdom that comes from the Lord does not simply inform the mind. It transforms the heart and directs our steps along the right path. Lesson 13. God cares for the lions. Wilt thou hunt the prey for the lion, or fill the appetite of the young lions when they couch in their dens and abide in the covert to lie in wait? Job 38:39-40. God directs Job's attention to the lions, animals known for their strength and hunting ability. The Lord asks who truly provides food for these powerful creatures. Although lions search for their prey, it is God who ultimately sustains all creation. This truth reminds us that God's provision is present in every aspect of life. We often believe that we alone are responsible for our success and sustenance, forgetting that every opportunity, ability, and resource comes from the hand of God. This does not mean we should neglect our responsibilities, but rather recognize our dependence upon the Lord in all things. Just as God cares for the lions in the wilderness and fields, He also cares for His children. When we face financial concerns or uncertainty about the future, we can trust that God remains our provider. His care is constant, His faithfulness is perfect, and His love never fails. Lesson 14. God cares for the ravens. Who provideth for the raven his food? When his young ones cry unto God, they wander for lack of meat. Job 38:41. The chapter concludes with a beautiful demonstration of God's care. The Lord mentions the ravens, simple birds that depend daily upon His provision. Even creatures that often go unnoticed by human beings are seen and cared for by the Creator. This image communicates a powerful message of hope. If God feeds the ravens and meets the needs of these birds, how much more will He care for those who have been created in His image? We often worry about tomorrow, wondering how certain needs will be met. Yet God invites us to trust in His faithfulness. The Lord knows every need, every challenge, and every concern within our hearts. Nothing escapes His attention. This final lesson closes the chapter by reminding us that the God who governs the stars, the seas, and all creation also cares deeply about every detail of our lives. His provision remains sufficient for all who place their trust in Him. We have now reached the end of our study on the 14 powerful lessons from Job 38. Perhaps you have noticed that in this chapter, God did not directly answer Job's questions about suffering. Instead, He revealed His greatness, His power, and His wisdom. And that is one of the greatest lessons for us as well. We will not always understand God's ways. We will not always have answers to every situation we face. But we can trust the one who knows the beginning and the end, the one who sustains the stars, governs the seas, sends rain upon the earth, and even cares for the ravens. If God cares for all creation with such perfection, how much more will He care for your life? Perhaps today you are facing a struggle, a concern, or a situation that seems impossible. Remember this: the same God who spoke to Job is still in control of all things. May these lessons strengthen your faith, renew your hope, and help you rest in the assurance that God never abandons those who trust in Him. When answers do not come, keep trusting. When circumstances seem confusing, keep walking by faith. The God who governs the universe is also taking care of every detail of your story. If this study has blessed your life, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and subscribe to the channel so you can follow future Bible studies. May the Lord strengthen your heart, guide your steps, and abundantly pour out His grace upon you and your family. Stay blessed, and we will see you in the next video.